What's up guys, Giancarlo Bodoni here for another video. Today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about most recent events, most recent things that are going to be up and coming, and some news and some advice as well for you guys on how you can come back better from losses. I'm also going to, at the end of this video, announce the giveaway that I talked about at 10,000 subscribers. Okay, so we broke, actually a couple of weeks ago, 10,000. So as of the filming of this video, we're already at 12.1 thousand subscribers. So super happy with the growth of the channel and super thankful to all you guys who have been subscribing and have been helping boost the algorithm with your comments and sharing the videos, etc. So the channel's seen a lot of growth lately, and I'm looking forward to doing more and more giveaways as the channel continues to grow. I'm already planning a giveaway for 20,000. So we're just a little bit less than 8,000 subscribers away. So there'll be another one coming soon. But at the end of this video, I will announce the giveaway that we're gonna be doing and how you guys can qualify for that. So my most recent match was already a few weeks ago, three-ish weeks ago, on Who's Number One. I had a title match and I ended up losing by referee's decision. It was a sub-only event, there's no scoring. Not a ton happened in the match, so unfortunately there wasn't a whole lot going on. It wasn't really a match that I'm particularly proud of, but there is a lot of stuff that we can do to come back from that. If you guys have followed my channel for a while, going into the East Coast trials, this is already a year and a half or more ago, I had a great winning streak at the East Coast trials, and then after that, but prior to that, I was coming off of 6 losses. Okay, very tight matches, similar style matches against pretty good opponents, but they just were matches that I lost, and I had to learn how to come back from losing to then going into a much bigger and more important event and then being successful. And so that's kind of more along the lines of what I want to talk to you guys about today. How can you come back from losing and actually be better? The first thing that I think is important when you lose a match, okay, and this is particularly for competition, so when you're losing matches in competition and if you're a competitive person, but you can take these principles, if you're not a competitor, you can take these ideas and apply them just to your day-to-day training. So if you're kind of in a rut and you feel like you're not performing well in the gym, you're not hitting the move, you feel like you can hit, maybe you're training against people that are normally your skill level and you have good rolls with, and maybe they're just giving you a hard time more often than usual, you can take these things and you can go ahead and apply them as well, okay? So the first thing that I think is important to do is don't try to completely just forget about it and say, hey, it happened, move on, and just act like it never happened. I definitely don't think you should dwell on it, but you definitely shouldn't forget about it, okay? There should be a assessment where you disconnect yourself from the emotional feeling of losing. So that way you can just give a true and honest assessment of the actual match itself. Okay, so that's the first thing, is don't dwell on it, but don't stress it. Many times there's small little things, small minor adjustments that are gonna make a huge difference. They're little things that are easy fixes in most cases, okay, at least in my experience. So what you should do initially is just try to just disconnect yourself from that shitty feeling of what it's like to lose, whatever it is that bothers you about losing. Okay, try to just disconnect yourself from that, use it as a mental exercise or whatever the case is, and just try to start assessing the match itself. So in this case now we're talking about actually watching the match. And so the second thing you have to do is assess the mistakes as well as the strong points, okay? The things that you did well and the things that you did poorly or that you could have done better. This is why it's important to disconnect yourself emotionally from it, because if you're anything like me and you rewatch a match that you lost or you feel like you could have done better at, immediately after it happened, you're just absolutely pissed off, you're in a bad state of mind, you're disgusted with yourself. That's a lot of times the way that I feel immediately after a poor performance or a subpar performance. The immediate rewatching of the match oftentimes won't give you the best assessment of the match. You'll see some things that you could have done better, but it's often followed by some sort of feeling of disappointment. If you take a little bit of time, watch it as many times as you can, but if you watch it in a time where you're disconnected from the actual feeling of how shitty it is to lose. And of course, this is depending upon what type of person you are, how you deal with losses, whether you care more than others, etc., and what level you're competing at. But if you can disconnect yourself from that, moving forward to the second point, the assessment, you're going to be able to see objectively mistakes, and you're able to see things that you were successful at. And it's very important to see both. You don't want to just see the mistakes, you want to see the things that you did well, because you can always continue to utilize the things that you did well, and you can discard of the mistakes or make the adjustments necessary. Okay, in my case, reassessing the match, there were a few tactical things that I should have done differently that could have changed the swing of the match. Technically, there weren't that many mistakes, but tactically there were more mistakes, just in the way that I approached that match. So rewatching that match immediately after, or as opposed to a week or two later, and watching it a couple of times, I was able to identify certain tactical things that I did better, and that's how I came to that conclusion. These are things that you're going to utilize going into the third element, which is addressing these things in the training room. Whether you completely forget about the match and act like it never happened, or you watch the match, you analyze it, you realize what you did good, what you did bad. If you don't do the third thing, which is address it in the training room, it's the same as just pretending it never happened and just moving forward like you always did previously. And so addressing things in the training room and actually training for them is going to be by far and away the most important thing, in my opinion, because that's how you're going to actually change those mistakes and see the progress that you're going to need to see. When I had those strings of losses back to back, if I would have just forgotten about it, or if I would have just watched it and been like, oh yeah, I could have done this better, could have done that better, okay, move on, I wouldn't have been able to turn it around when it counted, okay, and then go back into a much more important tournament and then set myself up for a string of successful victories and then an ultimately a good year. It's very important that you don't not only identify those things, identify them at a time where you can be objective, where you can be neutral, where you can be unemotional about it. You can just say, hey, this is what happened, this is what we need to do to fix that, and then go in and practice that in the training room. If you don't practice it in the training room and you carry on your training exactly as you did before and you're not working on anything, then you're not going to see any difference. You can't just say, hey, I should have been more active on the feet or whatever the case is, and then say, okay, next time I go compete, I'll do that. You probably won't do that if you're not practicing it actively in the training room. There's a lot of different examples of this that I can give you guys. One small example would be, I had a match last year in a tournament where I was having a hard time engaging with an opponent that was playing boundaries a lot. And so when I rewatched that match multiple times and noticed this and discussed it with my coaches, with my training partners, we came to this conclusion that there's a skill involved with boundaries, right? With maintaining the match within the boundaries. Okay, if I just think about, okay, just keep the match in the boundaries, and then I never trained that and then went into my next tournament, I probably would have run into the exact same problem because I didn't practice that actively. I wasn't actively thinking and then doing in the training room over and over and over again. So I made it a point to myself that I said, okay, between now and then my next tournament, I'm going to actively start with my training partners closer with their back towards the edge of the mat. And I'm going to actively practice reeling them in to the center of the mat. And that's something that I had to do in the training room. I had to think about it and I had to enact it. And it was something that I had to practice, that I had to learn, that I had to just develop new skills. And then eventually it became something that was happening subconsciously, that I just started to naturally do, was learn how to reel the match in and how to sort of corral guys back into the center of the mat. And that's just something that, just the nature of our sport, that's just something that we have to deal with. And so this is when what we're addressing it in the training room is very important, because if you don't address it in the training room, you're not going to do it in competition. If you're not doing it in the practice room, you're not going to do it in competition. You're always going to compete the same way that you train. The third part is address it in the training room. And now that leads me to the fourth part, which is when you're addressing it in a training room, it's very hard to stick to learning and practicing a new thing, especially something that you know you did wrong previously, and expect results immediately. Sometimes you can get it depending on what the thing is. Sometimes it's a small adjustment. It's like, oh, okay, I should have done that. That's an easy thing to fix. Other times it's a skill that you need to develop. And so it could be a subtle skill, like the one that I just talked about, reeling guys back in and controlling the center of the mat. It could be a little bit more of a deeper skill or whatever the case is, but regardless, it's a skill nonetheless, okay? And so you have to think in terms of small little bits of success that are going to compound on each other. When you're going down these different phases of post-loss, how to address it, how to come back better from it, we've gotten down to the fourth one. Okay, the first one was disconnecting yourself from the emotional feeling of losing so that you can go into the second one, which is assessing the match and addressing the mistakes, okay, and addressing the strong points and analyzing them and understanding what they were. Then the fourth one, which is going into the training room and actually practicing that, enacting that, and developing that skill. And while you're doing that, that leads me to the fourth one, which is starting small and working your way up to larger successes, okay? So regardless of what it is, You gotta think in terms of small little victories every single day in the training room that will compound over and over. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is you're gonna try something for a couple days and you're gonna just stop doing it because you keep running into that feeling of like, it's not working, I'm not good at it, I'm just gonna work on what I'm good at. And then you're right back to square one, okay? So just the way that I like to think about things when it comes to assessing losses or even victories. You can do the exact same thing with matches that you won. Maybe you won the match, but you feel like I could have done better at this. Maybe you didn't get a finish that you wanted to get, or whatever the case is. You can use this to assess your matches, or as I mentioned, if it's not something that if you're not a competitor, you can do it to assess your training. Maybe you film your footage, or maybe you just try to recollect or write down, what happened in matches, or however it is that you choose to recollect that, and then assess it, and then go through the steps necessary to come back better from it. So these are just things that I like to do, just ways that I like to think about it in terms of actually coming back from a loss. In particular, right now we're talking about a loss, but it could be from a victory, and just getting better from things that you could have done better, okay? Mistakes that you made, or areas that you feel that you underperformed and you feel that you want to make that improvement and perform better in future events, future endeavors, future matches, future training room rounds. And so thinking in this way, I feel like it's an easier way for you to make progress and actually go from, this was an area that was subpar, or this was an area that I just wasn't good at, or this was an area that I made a mistake in. This is how I'm actually going to change that result going forward. Okay, so thinking in these 4 steps, I feel like it's going to be something that's beneficial for you guys. It's something it's a way that I like to think about it, and I actually didn't have it broken down this way previously. It was just a way that I organically was trying to go about addressing things. But I wanted to make this video to just reflect on the actual match itself and actually be able to help you guys, because I got a lot of good feedback on the trials video, which I'll leave a link for in the description below, so you guys can watch that video. And also, a lot of people after my documentary release on Flow were saying how they struggled a lot with losses. Okay, and I've had multiple people come up to me after tournaments. Multiple people message me on Instagram talking about how that was inspiring to them to see how a loss could actually propel you to do better. Okay, and so I never really thought about how I went about doing that, so I decided to kind of try to break down, okay, what is my thought process and how do I feel I get the best results. And so that's why I'm making this video for you guys, and just let me know what you guys think about it. I hope that's going to be helpful for you guys going forward. Also, I know that it's a case-by-case scenario. Every single person deals with losses, feels about losses differently. Some people get pissed off, some people get sad, some people cry, some people don't care, okay? I'm actually curious to know how you guys feel about losses, and I'd be happy to give my input on how you choose to address it. I'm happy to hear your opinions and what you feel works best for you, so make sure you leave those in the comment section below. You gotta take it as a case-by-case scenario. Each individual is gonna be a little bit different, so I don't think that this formula is necessarily gonna work for you, but it's something that's worked for me, and it's just the way that after analyzing it and after getting those comments and those messages from people, I thought that would be a good and informative topic for you guys. So in addition to that, we have that giveaway. So we've already surpassed 10,000 subscribers, so I'm very happy with the growth of the channel, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, so I really appreciate that. For the giveaway, we're gonna be giving away 10 of the Future Kimonos Dangerous kits. Okay, my first release with Future, we have other ones coming out as well, so stay tuned for those. But my first release with Future launched same day as my documentary, released a Dangerous kit, okay? And so I'm gonna leave the link for the kit in the description so you guys can see it. However, I'm going to be giving away 10 of those to 10 of you guys, okay? All you have to do is be a subscriber to this channel. You have to be a subscriber to the Future Kimonos channel, which I'll leave a link for as well. And you have to leave a comment in the comment section saying that you want to enter into the giveaway. So we'll be giving away 10 of the kits. There's a top and a bottom, so a rash guard and a shorts. Future has a lot of cool stuff, so you can check out all of their stuff on their website. I'll leave the link below. And the kit's fully customizable, so you can customize it with your own name on it. You can put different stuff on the back, different stuff on the front. They have a whole bunch of different options that you guys can do. So we'll be giving away 10 of those. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you subscribe to Future Kimonos channel. I'll leave the link there for them. And make sure you leave a comment in the comment section of this video. And like I said, this won't be the last giveaway. Obviously, the better the giveaways do, the more the channel grows, the more giveaways we're gonna be doing. So I already have one planned. I can't say what it is right now, but I already have one planned for 20,000. So we're almost there. We're just a little bit less than 8,000 subscribers away. So hopefully we'll be able to get to that number quickly and we can give away a lot more free stuff. Thanks, guys.